The Ohio State Buckeye coaching staff was back in the Woody today as they got to meet with the media, and there were plenty of new faces and plenty of great storylines to get to. We're going to dive into it all here on a Friday night. Grab a drink, grab a friend. Here we go on tonight's episode of the Buckeye Breakdown podcast.
We've got the whole crew together as we cover Ohio State with our instant analysis from Ohio State.
There's something that doesn't feel right.
Unbelievable effort from him today. Is E.J. Liddell going to crack the first team All-Big Ten?
I think he can be the guy. I'm not trying to start a quarterback controversy.
He seems to have the durability. He certainly has the toughness. This is the question on a lot of people's minds here. Welcome to Buckeye Breakdown.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Friday night episode on the Buckeye Breakdown podcast. Anthony Moeglin running solo with you tonight, and we got a lot to get to. So if you're hanging out with me live tonight, appreciate you jumping in and spending some time with me. If you're on the computer, watching on YouTube, watching on Twitter, I appreciate it. Jump into that comment section as we get into this conversation here tonight, and also to follow, subscribe, do all those things as well. And today, big day in an off season here, where we're kind of getting into the dog days of it, if you will. Ohio State's going to be off next week as all the kids are on spring break, and I think it was a pretty smart move. A lot of teams started their spring practices this past week, started them on Monday, and then you get this weird break in the middle of them, and with spring break typically, and then you come back, and it's oftentimes hard for the kids to get refocused and relocked in. So really like how Ohio State's going to take spring break off next week, and then come back ready to roll for a 4-week spring ball session that will end on April the 12th with a spring showcase. Not going to call it a spring game because they're not going to play a game. A lot of that, the whole landscape of the traditional spring game is changing, just with there being a transfer window right after the spring game. So a lot of teams don't want to give away exactly what they're doing, what their guys are good at, and kind of give away their depth charts just in case, other teams are looking to poach. So regardless of all that, today was an awesome day for Ohio State fans all around, because you got to hear from pretty much every coach. Ryan Day started at the podium, and then you got the opportunity to hear from all your coordinators and all your all your coordinators. Got a handful of them, 2 on the defensive side of the ball, and then Brian Hartline on the offensive side of the ball, and then all your position coaches as well. Hearing from a lot of different guys, and it's kind of cool because there's going to be a number of new names next year that are going to be playing meaningful snaps and meaningful football for Ohio State, coming off of one of the best years that you'll ever see, right? One of the greatest runs of all time in college football was led by a bunch of seniors, a bunch of guys who are now going to the NFL draft. So going to be a really cool opportunity this year for a lot of young guys. And ultimately, all of that starts in spring ball. It starts next week in 2 weeks for these guys. I mean, in spring ball, to me, is one of the most important times, especially for a team like this, who's going to be not rebuilding, but reloading and trying to find the answer at a lot of different positions, including a lot of major ones. You're talking about the quarterback position. You're talking about the running back position, both the starter and the backup. You're talking about an offensive line that's going to be replacing 3 guys. You're talking about a defense that's going to be replacing its entire front, a linebacker, 3 in the secondary. Like, it is a ton of guys that they're going to be replacing, and the most important place, and the place that we're going to start tonight, is at the quarterback position. Replacing Will Howard. What they got out of Will Howard last year was nothing short of special. He was awesome from day one when he came in and took the reins over, all the way through January 20th down in Atlanta, when he kind of shredded the Notre Dame Fighting Irish defense and hoisted that trophy up and etched himself as one of the Buckeye greats. So the biggest hole on this roster is going to be filled by one of 3 guys, each of which have little to no experience playing at all. Right, it's going to be one, either Julian Sayin, transfer from Alabama, didn't spend too much time at Alabama, but did transfer north to Ohio State. He feels like, in the media eye, from what you're hearing coming out of Columbus, it feels like Sayin is kind of that leader in the clubhouse, if you will. He's the guy that everyone's kind of chasing here. But Lincoln Keenholz certainly has his name in the ring, and then incoming freshman Tavian St. Clair. St. Clair is a 5-star guy, one of the top recruits in the country, and looks the part. Right, you see him walking around on the field on game days. He stands at 6'5". He's big, he's strong, he's got a big arm. He's very, very athletic. Got some comps of a young Justin Fields, which if he's even half as good as Justin Fields, he's going to be in really, really good shape at the quarterback position here. So it's going to be a combination of one of those three guys. And in spring ball, it's really important for those guys to get a good handful of reps, right? And it's hard to do. It's really hard to do. And for those guys, the reps are limited. You're not going to run. Each guy is not going to get 20 reps a practice. They're going to get 5, 6, 7, 8 reps of practice. They're going to be evenly split. Coach Day talked about this, how each of the three guys is going to get an opportunity with the ones. They'll get an opportunity with the twos, but most importantly, you'll get equal opportunity. So how does it really look? And I wanted to kind of break that down with you guys, and we will certainly as practice kicks off. But and I'll pull up. We'll show you some example practice scripts, what the guys will be looking at, what the coaches will be building, and especially what the quarterbacks will be looking at. And oftentimes, when a coach or a coaching staff scripts out practice and scripts out an entire spring ball, right, they have it already set. So in my guess, and I don't know this to be fact, but in my guess, spring ball is already set up from the first day to the last day through the spring showcase. Every period is already scripted. Every rep is already scripted. They know, hey, Julian's going to get this rep on Monday and this rep on Tuesday. The same with Lincoln's going to get this on Thursday and this one on Friday. So when you can script it out like that, you're going to be able to evaluate these guys apples to apples. Sometimes during a week, a typical game week, you don't get the backup typically gets, kind of the bread and butter plays, not any of the specialty game plan plays. But in a scenario like this, in a spring ball session where you can kind of manipulate who gets what and who sees what, they can make it pretty even totally across the board. So you'll see a lot of that. We'll get into that after next week when we get into the spring ball session. I'll show you some examples of what these guys look like or what these guys have. And truthfully, when I experienced any type of quarterback competition or going into an offseason having to reprove myself maybe to a new coaching staff or what have you, this was a really stressful time. This was a very, very stressful time for these young kids and a very stressful time for these guys who are competing for a really, really special opportunity. Like short term, it's really great to get the opportunity to be the quarterback at Ohio State. Long term, the winner of this job has the potential and it has their hand on the reins of being the quarterback at Ohio State for 3 or 4 straight seasons. That's really rare nowadays, right? I mean, you don't often get that in the transfer world. You don't often get that with young guys. Now that older guys are staying a little bit longer, you don't get the opportunity to be the head man at a place for 3 or 2 or 3 straight years. And whoever wins this job is going to be sitting pretty with an opportunity to really grab that and go forward with that. So it's going to be really cool to see how this shakes out, what it looks like for these guys and how they operate it in spring. So they're going to roll with 3 guys. 3 guys, not really a surprise there, but was confirmed today by head coach Ryan Day. Now it was really cool to see there's a lot of brand new faces around the Ohio State coaching staff this year. Right after you win a national championship, all of your guys get poached, right? It's a situation where, coaches, whether they'll go to the NFL or they'll go to other colleges, they prove their worth and they probably got paid handsomely. You talk about the Jim Knowles situation where he got, I think it's $3.5 million a year, $3.2 million a year to jump ship and leave Ohio State to go to Penn State. Hard to argue all that when you put the dollar sign in front of these guys, but a lot of them went to the NFL. Chip Kelly took a job with the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders, and so many others. Maybe not so much the higher level guys, but some of the backup coaches, assistants went along to the NFL as well. So a lot of replacing the coaching staff here, and the big ones that really stand out. First, on the defensive side of the ball, Matt Patricia made his debut as the Ohio State Buckeyes defensive coordinator. We'll get into some of the stuff he said, but he was joined on the defensive side by Tim Walton, two new guys for the Buckeyes. And then on the offensive side of the ball, not a new face, but in a new position, Brian Hartline. We'll discuss him here in a little bit. But the one that I think is most important is Tyler Bowen, the former offensive coordinator for the Virginia Tech Hokies, comes to Ohio State as the offensive line coach. And Coach Day talked about him at length and what was really attractive to Coach Day about hiring a guy like Tyler Bowen, and a lot of it had to do with recruiting, right? This is he had the opportunity to be the offensive coordinator, to call plays, to be the guy pulling the trigger for an entire offense. And now he takes a step back in title, but does it at the Ohio State University. So it's almost like a lateral move, although he does drop down in position. But Coach Day talked about the ability to recruit. Now, why is that important? Justin Frye's kind of biggest knock was that he struggled recruiting, right? It felt like the cupboard was always bare in the Ohio State offensive line room. And because of that, he always was fighting an uphill battle, whether it be internally within the team or externally in the media space and in the fan space. Like, that was always kind of the knock on him. But Bowen's got a really good ability to recruit, and they know the importance of getting the right guys into Columbus, getting the right guys into this program to continue its excellence there. So really cool to see some of the new faces on the coaching staff get the opportunity to get on the mic, talk a little bit, and really set the expectation here as spring ball is right around the corner. Now, Matt Patricia, it was really cool to hear him talk, and you're so used to seeing him in the NFL, right? You're so used to seeing him in a New England Patriots gear or Detroit Lions gear, where he's talking about a long season, talking about professionals, and now he's got the opportunity to go back to his roots and start anew in college. And he talked about how cool it was to do it at Ohio State, a school and a program that means so much to the college football landscape and to college football as a whole. And it was really neat to see him. First of all, I feel okay saying this. This guy's lost a ton of weight. It's really cool to see him. He doesn't even look like the same person. The only thing that's the same about him is he has that stupid little pencil in his ear, and he holds it just like this. That some things never change, if you will. But really cool to see, just like how good of shape that he's in, because it wasn't always that way. So really neat to see that, but also cool to hear him talk about his perspective on some of these guys. He got into good detail about a number of guys on this team, including Sonny Styles and the linebacking crew, Sonny and Arvell Reese. He's like, yeah, I'm used to like big burly professionals, big burly guys. And I got in and I see these guys who, he didn't use this as an exact quote, but like built like transformers, who are just as big as what I'm used to, but are 10 times the athletes that I'm accustomed to playing with or to coaching. So that was pretty cool to hear him talk about. And then he went on a real long tangent about the ability to coach Caleb Downs, right? We all know how special Downs is and has been to the Ohio State roster. But it was cool to see Matt Patricia, who's been around some of the greatest players and the sport has to offer. And he just raved about what Caleb Downs is to this defense, how he looks on tape, but also how excited he is to coach him. I want to just plug one of my guys here. I'm sure if you're in this studio watching me, you've come across the name Dylan Davis. He writes for one of the Columbus newspapers. I should have had this on the top of my head, but he got a ton of great content down at the Woody today at Dylan Davis 56 on Twitter. Got a ton of really great videos. So if you're in here, you want to hear what these guys had to say. I'm not going to pull it up on here because it is his work. So go down to his Twitter, give him a follow. He does great coverage of the Buckeyes, but he also had some really great stuff from today. And now on to the offensive side of the ball. Brian Hartline is the next huge topic, because he's taken over the reins as the offensive coordinator for the Ohio State offense, which has some big shoes to fill. That offense towards the end of last year really hit their stride. They really figured it out in the playoff game. Really, after the Michigan game, they kind of were like, all right, we're done playing around. Let's go use our best players. Let's unlock Will Howard, throwing the ball down the field, and let's simplify the run game just to find some success. So really big opportunity for this offense to rebound, to find what they were great at last year, and do so under the leadership of a new guy, Brian Hartline. It's going to be really interesting to see how this offense is run, who's really in charge. And Hartline talked about it today of, hey, Ryan Day is going to have his impact on this offense. It isn't just going to be me. And if it was just Hartline, wouldn't shock me or wouldn't scare me at all. I mean, he's been around this program for a number of years. He's obviously played at Ohio State, played for the Cleveland Browns, played everywhere in the NFL. So he's seen a ton of football, but he's been primarily the wide receivers coach for the Buckeyes the past several years. Now he's going to get his opportunity to step up to that next level, to that offensive coordinator role. So curious to see what this offense looks like. If I were to guess, I would estimate, or I would guess that this team, personality-wise, is going to look very similar to what we're used to. I think that you'll see a lot of the same things that we've seen in the past. You'll see a lot of the Chip Kelly stuff from last year, because I thought a lot of it was really good. But I think you'll also see some remnants of play calls and schemes from the past. I think it'll be really interesting to see how it all fits together for Brian Hartline. But the big question that came from today, and this was kind of in a joking manner, was he's still evaluating whether he's going to be in the box or on the field. That was the big point of discussion today. And I think that part's pretty cool, just to see that he's getting the opportunity to be promoted, to be the guy on offense, not the receivers guy who stands on the sidelines, listens to the play calls and makes the substitutions. He's the guy going to be pulling the trigger there. So really excited for Brian Hartline. Nobody is more deserving of that than him, and he's going to be great in this role, in this next opportunity. So we're going to get out of here on this. I thought it was just really cool as I was kind of reviewing the day. As you can tell, I was not down in Columbus today, but I just thought it was really cool to have the entire Ohio State coaching staff back in the Woody, right? It felt like we're getting closer to football, because we are. We're just about a week away, or a little over 10 days away from the start of spring ball, which pretty much marks the start of the 2025-2026 season. Obviously, the guys have been working out. They've been prepping their bodies for that. We talked about it a couple shows ago, how strenuous the offseason program is under Coach Mick at Ohio State. So they've been going through that, but we're going to start seeing that ball fly through the air, and it's a really exciting time. Don't care who you are. Don't care if you're coming off of a 0-12 season, or if you're coming off a national championship, the start of spring ball. Everyone's 0-0 again, and everyone has national title aspirations, and it kind of gets going. So a really cool time of the football season. You wish it was August, but as we inch our way through the off season here, this is the next big hurdle, the next big milestone, and the Buckeyes are going to be ready to roll. And today was just a little taste of it. So we're going to get out of here on that. Appreciate you. We had a decent crowd in here tonight. A lot of guys, a lot of people in the comment section. So it's really hard for me when I'm running solo to get in there and pull some stuff up. But yes, Billy, I'm with you, man. Is it August yet? We're close, man. We're not close, actually, but we can pretend it. When you close your eyes at night, dream about walking into the horseshoe sometime soon. So appreciate everyone hanging out with me. Just a simple reminder to everybody, don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, and comment on all of our stuff. We really do appreciate it. It means a lot. We're working hard to get you guys a lot of content, both on the video front. We're going to mix it up a little bit here from our weekly videos. We're going to try to incorporate some different stuff. We're going to get, as we get further along in the off season, we're going to look back at some of the fun times that we had in the 2024 season, but also look ahead, bring in some guests onto the show as well, talk about some other teams, both around the conference and around the league. So getting excited about that. Just keep that in mind as you're watching along. And then also head over to our site. It's right below me on our ticker here, si.com/college/Ohio State. All of our written content lives over there. So you'll see a lot of video stuff over there, but all of our written work lives over there. So jump over there if you haven't, and read what our team's working on. I know a lot of guys working really hard to keep that content fresh and full for you. And ultimately know you have a ton of places to go to get your Buckeye content. So we really appreciate you making the Ohio State Buckeyes on SI one of them. So I'm getting out of here on that note. Got a ton of great sports tonight. It's college basketball season. You'll find here as you keep watching our show throughout the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. I'm a college basketball nut. It's gonna work its way into our nightly shows. So just a heads up there, we will be doing brackets. We will be doing all that. But it is conference championship or conference tournament week. So enjoy any college basketball you're watching tonight. You're watching the Cavs game, whatever you got on tonight. Really enjoy it, and I appreciate you jumping in and hanging out with me tonight as we talk about a fun day down at the Woody, where all the Ohio State Buckeye coaches took to the mic and got to talk a little bit of Ohio State football. So appreciate you hanging out, and I'm going to sign off on that. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll see you again soon on the Ohio State Buckeyes on SI YouTube channel.